Hello everyone, I haven't seen you in a while, and during that time, I was busy doing finals, getting things done for winter term, and being progressed forward to spring term. It was a bit of a doozy. But during that time, I got to watch Daredevil Season 2. Now, here are my quick thoughts on Daredevil Season 1. Season 1 proved to be an excellent platform for Kingpin. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the character Daredevil is anything bad. I just thought that Charlie Cox doesn't really have much chemistry with much of the other characters, but he's still handled pretty well. And there's a lot of big flaws that are in season 1, but were filled in by Vincent D'Onofrio's performance as Kingpin. And he is one of the best villains I have seen in the MCU to date. Hands down. He is the best. Until we see another villain down the line, aside from Loki, you know. So season 2, it's about a year after Vincent D'Onofrio has been put in prison for his crimes. And Daredevil is now being confronted with not only just a gang war between 3 different factions, the Dogs of Hell, the Irish, and I can't remember the third one. But he's also being confronted also by a supernatural element called the Hand. It's not really supernatural, but nonetheless, he's still being confronted by a group called the Hand and a new vigilante with a new outlook on what to do for being a hero. The Punisher has come to town, and all hell breaks loose in Hell's Kitchen. So, what did I think of Season 2? Well, I thought it was a little bit tad better than Season 1, seeing how this is a pretty much more confined story and a much more thematic story, as this is a big season. I'm going to get into some spoilers here, so if you don't want to have any spoilers, please go watch the season first. I'm not kidding. I'm going to go into some spoiler territory in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's start off with Jon Bernthal's The Punisher. Oh my god. Who could ask for a better Punisher? This is the perfect Punisher. I mean, from what we originally heard about Punisher, he's supposed to be like a taxi driver sort of character, you know, but we didn't need to have another taxi driver. But fortunately enough, his take on the character of Punisher isn't all out explosive, but it's just enough to make it so that I really cared for the guy. Like, this is a character that I wanted to see more of, and unfortunately, we didn't get a full thing of it because we got the Elektra story. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Elektra. It's just that her character in the film, in the entire season, just kind of bogged down the story a little bit too much. Seeing how, you know, she wasn't really interesting. She's one of those superhero characters, and she wasn't really Elektra. Let's get that out of the way. She's not the real Elektra. Alright, she doesn't act like Elektra. She doesn't sound like Elektra. Her costume looks like shit. You know, it looks cool on paper, but I don't know. I just didn't jive with that as much as Daredevil's new helmet, which is really freaking awesome. But she's one-dimensional. You know, nothing of her past is revealed, and unfortunately, she's given this treatment that she's supposed to have this so-called destiny to be the Black Sky, and which was hinted at in the first season, but no one ever remembered that from the first season. I don't remember that from the first season, but apparently it makes a big comeback in this season. But I don't think Elektra was a good choice for this season. However, though, her involvement does play well with the Punisher story, which is kind of weird to me saying, you know, Elektra, the character, being terribly done. You know, it wasn't that great of a character depiction. But her involvement in the story allows for Matt Murdock to continually become this patron saint that the entire 2 seasons has been building up so far. Oh yeah, he's supposed to be this Jesus symbolism where, he's supposed to be beaten all the fucking time, and then at the point of climax, he's supposed to get up, punch the enemy in the face, and then limp away. He gets beaten the fuck out of every time he's fighting. And somehow he always comes out on top. And I feel that, we keep seeing this type of story all the time, and it sucks. It sucks, because, we could do so much better. Is there something else that Daredevil can aspire to be? This is done twice now. This has been done twice now. This is the second season of this immensely popular show, and I really love it. It's a good show, don't get me wrong, but there's problems with it that I want to have addressed for Season 3. And speaking of Season 3, I want to see Bullseye in it. Get Bullseye in it. Gimme. Just gimme it. Whatever. And then let's go back to Punisher. Punisher's involvement in it was spectacular. Him and the conflict with Daredevil comes straight out of the comics. And it's just great. Like, seeing the interaction between Charlie Cox's character of Daredevil and John Berthnell's Punisher, sets this sort of debate. What is the lengths that we can go to be true vigilantes? What's the extent that we can go to be a true vigilante? What is true vigilantism? Is it better to kill the people who have done wrong, or to basically beat the shit out of them and then take them to jail? I don't know. I never really felt that one was better than the other at that point. But as it went on, I did kind of feel that I was in more of the Punisher's side of the argument. Now, I have a theory about this season that in episode 4, there is mention that Reyes, who is the district attorney in this season, she wants to, once she gets done with the Frank Castle case, and basically convicts him of all, 32 murders? That's a lot of murders, man. 32 murders. That she wants to use that as a platform to convict other people. And what Foggy's girlfriend says in the bar in episode 4 is that she wants to also prosecute Jessica Jones, who just had her first season before this, and Daredevil. Now this could be a sign that it's going to lead into the Civil War that has been building up throughout the main MCU, and now it's being built up in the Netflix shows. And for those of you who don't know, in the original Civil War by Mark Miller, they essentially had a Vigilante Registration Act. And I feel that, if they were to go the original route with Civil War, this would be a little bit more relevant. But nonetheless, in the trailer, when General Thunderbolt Ross is talking to the Avengers, he's basically calling them that they're just vigilantes. So I feel like Reyes' character is leading somewhat into Civil War, and how people are reacting to all the things that have been going on with not only the Avengers, but Jessica Jones and Daredevil. And I think that's a pretty good tie-in, although it's a little subtle. It doesn't really play much relevance in a lot of it, other than in that sort of line of dialogue there. And the last thing I want to talk about here, what was it? Kingpin does arrive in this season. However, he doesn't escape from prison, but something in prison happens. I'm just going to leave it there. But But Kingpin does make a return, and he kind of fills some of the cracks like he did in the last season, but there's still some problems with it. Like there's a part towards the finale where they go into this building and there's like a 40-story hole inside of the ground, and there's like, and what is it? It just hangs there in the air like it's something to be expanded upon in the next season, and I wish they hadn't done that, because that's a big mystery. Why would they do that? I want to know. I want to know why that 40-story hole was in the ground. And I mean, it's a good season. It is. It is a little bit better, I have to say, than the first season. So I'll give this season an 8 out of 10. I thought it was great. It still has good action. It's brutal. It has brutal action. And a lot of the characters, they're really good, aside from Elektra. I really didn't feel like Elektra needed to be in there. I didn't feel like it. Like, they could have done something a little bit different than that. They could have just stuck with the hand as being the thing that pulls Matt Murdock from the case of Frank Castle's trial. They could have done that. But instead they had to involve Elektra in there, and it just didn't work for me as much. But yeah, 8 out of 10. It's a good season. Go watch it. It's good. So what did you guys think of Daredevil Season 2? Let me know down in the comments. And who do you think would win in an actual fight between the two? Punisher or Daredevil? Go in the comments now.